नमस्कार दोस्तों, वेलकम टू PrepPluse। अगर आप किसी एग्ज़ाम के लिए तैयारी कर रहे हो तो ये कंपटीशन का ज़माना कैसे होता है ये आपको अच्छे से पता होगा और इस कंपटीशन में सबसे आगे रहना कौन नहीं चाहता। सो फ्रेंड्स, बिफोर एनी फर्दर डिले, लेट्स क्विकली डिस्कस व्हाट हैज हैपेंड टुडे and stay a step ahead in this cutthroat competition. So here are top 8 exam relevant articles picked up for you from Indian Express. So the first article talks about Amrit Bharat Express. Now, what are its features? The Amrit Bharat trains come equipped with a range of upgraded features like semi-automatic couplers, modular toilets with new construction materials, strong pillar and partition, emergency talkback features, EP assisted brake system, newly designed seats and berths. They have the continuous lighting system like Vande Bharat trains. They have fire detection system, gangways, external emergency lights, charging sockets with mobile phone holders, etc. The question here is which state has the highest number of these trains? The answer is Bihar. Bihar has emerged as the state with the highest number of originating stations for these trains, now totaling up to 5. Talking about its speed and production, so these trains are developed by Chennai-based Integral Coach Factory and these are designed to run at maximum speed of 130 km per hour. The Minister of Railways has raised the production of these trains in the country and it has targeted to manufacture 100 more Amrit Bharat trains for the benefit of middle class and economically weaker sections. Now coming to the next article, it says that several earthquakes above 6 magnitude strikes off Russia's Kamchatka region. So this particular article is important for us to understand how tsunamis are occurring due to earthquakes. So what is a tsunami? A tsunami is a series of ocean waves that are caused by displacement of large volume of water, typically in an ocean or a large lake. So let's understand how earthquakes can cause a tsunami. So what is the mechanism? Now, submarine earthquakes, especially those occurring at convergent plate boundaries, as you can see here in the diagram, or near the subduction zones, are the most common cause of tsunamis. When one tectonic plate subducts beneath another, it can cause the overlying plate to snap upwards, thus displacing water and generating a tsunami wave. Now, how the process flow occurs here? So, tectonic stress builds up at subduction zone. There is sudden fault rupture that causes vertical displacement of the ocean floor, and the water column is displaced, and thus a wave energy radiates in all directions. Now, in the deeper ocean, the wave height is comparatively low, but its speed is very high, up to 800 km per hour. And near the coast, the waves slow down and the height increases drastically, thus having very destructive impact. Now, what are the favorable conditions where the earthquakes causes tsunami? So the earthquake magnitude should be 7.0 on the Richter scale. It should be a shallow focus earthquake whose depth should be less than 70 kilometers. Its epicenter should be located near the ocean and it should mostly occur at convergent boundaries, example in the Pacific Ring of Fire. Now there have been many examples of such earthquakes, like in the Indian Ocean it happened in 2004, then the Tohoku earthquake which happened in 2011 in Japan, and the Chile earthquake in 1960 in the Pacific Ocean. All these earthquakes resulted into tsunamis. Now talking with respect to disaster management, we need to have early preparedness through the early warning systems. We need to have seismic monitoring, public awareness, then we need to have regular drills and right regulations in place. Now the next article talks about, can turmeric be bad for your kidneys? So turmeric and kidney health is like a double-edged sword. Turmeric is known as the golden spice of India. It is deeply rooted in Indian culture and Ayurveda. It is known for its anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. It is traditionally considered a natural healer. With respect to kidney health, what are its benefits? So turmeric's anti-inflammatory action helps protect renal tissues. Its antioxidants fight oxidative stress, supporting kidney function. Now, what are the potential risks from turmeric to kidneys? Curcumin, the active compound, can raise oxalate levels, thus increasing the risk of kidney stones. The blood thinning effect of turmeric may be risky for those with bleeding disorders or on anticoagulants. Here, dosage matters. That is, the cooking level turmeric is generally safe, but supplements which have turmeric dosages up to 500 to 1000 mg per day should be used cautiously. So one should start with a low dose and increase gradually under medical supervision. So what are the precautions one should take? One should avoid high doses if he has a history of kidney stones, and always consult a healthcare provider before using turmeric supplements. Now the next article is about how 4 types of animals that kill their own parents and they exhibit matrophagy, that is when they eat their own mothers. So while spiders here they exhibit matrophagy, that is the act of offspring devouring their own mothers. Now, this is a documented survival strategies. Now what are these 4 animals? First is back lace weaver spider. Here the mother's sacrifice begins with trophic eggs. These are the unfertilized eggs which she lays to feed her young. Eventually the spiderlings graduate to eating her once the eggs are no longer suffice. Next is Australian crab spider. Here there are no trophic eggs because the mother lacks the biological ability to produce them. So the baby spider simply consume her body directly, turning her into a spider-sized Scotch egg. Now next species is desert spider. It starts with regurgitated food like a darting bird. When she runs out, her body liquefies from within, and after 2 weeks the babies feast on her melted organs until only a husk remains. The next species is African social spider. Here similar liquefaction process occurs, but here the siblings and cousins may also become snack, that is the whole nursery turns into a cannibalistic buffet. Now this kind of behavior is not only exhibited by spiders, there are other species also like hum earwig which show this kind of behavior. Friends, the names here are important from exam point of view. They can be directly asked which of the following species exhibits such kind of behavior. Now the next article is RBI's record banking system fund infusion is not boosting loan growth. So what is the concern? Why RBI's liquidity injection and rate cuts aren't boosting credit growth? So the background here is RBI took some actions, like it did CRR cut by 50 bps, that is 50 basis point in December 2024. It injected approximately 10 lakh crores liquidity via bond purchases. The Monetary Policy Committee reduced repo rate by 100 basis points till June 2025. Now the repo rate is 5.5%. Now what was the objective behind all this action? That is to boost bank lending and stimulate economic activity. Now what is the ground reality? There is the loan demand is weakening. There is non-food credit growth that is falling from 16.2% to 9.8%. The industrial credit, it grew at just 4.9% in May versus 8.9% a year ago. Now why is credit growth still falling? What are the reasons behind it? First, the liquidity doesn't mean credit growth. According to JP Morgan, liquidity does not cause credit growth. The casualty is reversed rather. The extra liquidity only influences the interbank call rates and not final lending rates. Once the call rates fall to a certain level, further liquidity infusion yields no benefit. The excess funds are lying idle, that is banks are parking record sums in the standing deposit facility with the RBI itself. So this indicates lack of viable borrowers and not lack of funds. There are some transmission hurdles, like the credit deposit ratio is still high, that is approximately 80%, and historically to have the best transmission from RBI's actions to the common people, this is seen when this credit deposit ratio is 70 to 74%. The retail and personal loan demand is moderating. The industrial capacity remains underutilized due to global trade uncertainties and import surge from China. Now to all these things, what is RBI's response? So since June 27, RBI began sucking out excess liquidity via variable rate reverse repo. Now this particular term is important from exam point of view, and nearly 7 lakh crores were removed from the economy. However, this is a temporary action. Now the funds would finally return to banks soon after. Now what lies ahead? So Nomura projects credit growth to slow down to 7 to 8% by March 2026. BCG has warned that short-term rate cuts may not work unless the rates are held steady for at least 18 to 24 months. GDP growth remains approximately 6.5%, but the loan demand is structurally weak. What is the exam relevance of all this discussion? Though we have Indian economic topics like monetary policy effectiveness and transmission, credit cycle, liquidity management, structural and cyclical slowdown, liquidity trap, credit deposit ratio, call rate, and standing deposit facilities. All these terms have occurred in the exams before. There can also be an essay topic saying that monetary stimulus without complementary credit appetite is like water to a saturated sponge, present but unused. Now the next article is two Himachal brothers adopt Hatti tradition on polyandry and marry same woman. Now what is the context here? In July 2025, two brothers from the Hatti tribe of Himachal Pradesh tied the knot with a single bride under the traditional polyandrous system that is locally known as Jodidara or Jajda. Now, this particular event happened in Shilai village of the Transgiri region, Himachal Pradesh. Now, what were the customary practices related to Jodidara? So, the marriage ceremony, it lasted for 3 days with local dances, folk songs, and was witnessed by hundreds of people. There is a ritual called Sinch, which is held at the groom's house with holy water and jaggery being offered by the priest. Now, such a marriage system is recognized by Himachal Pradesh revenue laws under Jodidara, and it is still practiced in some parts of Transgiri, Jaunsar in Uttarakhand and Kinnaur. Now what is the anthropological relevance of this particular marriage? First, we need to understand what are the reasons behind polyandry. It is to prevent fragmentation of ancestral land. It is to promote family unity and brotherhood even amongst half siblings. It is to have security in tribal society. More men ensure more safety, and polyandry is mostly practiced in labor intensive farming in hilly terrain, and that needs joint family effort. We are seeing some changing dynamics in this polyandrous marriage practices. That is because of literacy and economic upliftment. There is a decline in polyandry. Polyandry is still socially accepted, but now it has become less public. But 5 such polyandrous marriages have occurred in Badana village in last 6 years. Now what is the exam relevance of this particular article? We have several GS topics like Indian society that talks about diversity of marriage systems. We have governance topics like policies for tribals, where the role of state in recognizing customary tribal practices, balance between legal pluralism and progressive social values. Now for anthropological optional, the topics like kinship and marriage and functional explanation of marriage system like ecological, economic and social functions of marriage customs. This particular article becomes very important. There can be a possible essay topic like marriage can evolve and not merely as a social contract but as a mechanism of economic survival and social cohesion, where this particular article can be used as an example to elaborate on it. Now, the next article is biostimulants that aid plant growth are now under center scrutiny. So what has happened is our Union Agriculture Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has wrote to all chief ministers asking states to stop forced tagging of biostimulants with subsidized fertilizers like urea and DAP, citing farmers' complaints and regulatory concerns. Now let's discuss this in detail. So what are biostimulants? Biostimulants, they are defined as per the FCO 1985 Amendment Act 2021. FCO stands for Fertilizer Control Order. So biostimulant is a substance or a microorganism, or it can be both, that stimulates physiological processes in plants, that enhances nutrient uptake, growth, yield, stress tolerance and crop quality, but it excludes pesticides and plant growth regulators under the Insecticides Act 1968. What are the common sources of these biostimulants? They can be derived from plant derived waste, seaweed extracts, vitamins, antioxidants or microorganisms, or through biochemical substances. Now let's look at the biostimulant market in India. Now in 2024 they are valued around $355 million, but by 2032 they are expected to reach $1.13 billion, having an annual growth rate of 15.64%. Now the rising demand is there, but there are concerns over quality, efficacy and regulatory checks. Now what is this recent crackdown? There has been forced bundling, that is the retailers are forcing farmers to buy biostimulants with subsidized fertilizers, which is against farmers' will. There is questionable efficacy, that is there have been growing complaints from farmers over ineffectiveness of biostimulants. There was regulatory vacuum until 2021, that is biostimulants were sold without approval under any law. Around 30,000 products had flooded the market, but only 650 remain after the stricter norms post 2021 FCO amendment. Now there are concerns over pesticide contamination because biostimulants must not contain pesticide residues beyond 0.01 ppm. Now let's talk about the regulatory framework with respect to biostimulants. So the Fertilizer Control Order of 1985 was amended in 2021 to regulate biostimulants. It introduced classification of 8 categories of biostimulants. It required data with respect to product chemistry, bioefficacy trials, toxicity and ecotoxicity reports. It had some testing requirements also, like 5 acute toxicity tests on rats and rabbits, 4 ecotoxicity tests on birds, fish, bees and earthworms, and 3 agroecological location trials under ICAR or state universities. There was a Central Biostimulant Committee which was set up between 2021 to 2026, which advised the center on inclusion, specification and testing of biostimulants, and also with respect to drawing samples, lab protocols, etc. Now what are the recent government actions with respect to biostimulants? There is provisional registration system that allowed biostimulants to be sold that are pending full registration, but this particular deadline, it expired on June 16, 2025. Now companies with only provisional licenses can no longer sell products post deadline. There was a notification on May 26, 2025 that issued specific biostimulant specifications for key crops like tomato, paddy, cotton, grape, etc. Now what is the implication of all these things? For farmers, they will get potential relief from coercive bundling and they'll get assurance of product quality. For manufacturers, many are now disqualified from selling. They need to work on more scientific validation and compliance. Now with respect to policy and governance, this would ensure safe, evidence-based agri inputs and promotes regulated organic or biological inputs aligned with sustainable agriculture goals. Now, what is the exam relevance of this particular topic? We have GS topics like agriculture, economic governance, where we talk about agrarian innovation and rural economy, impact on tribal or marginal farmers using traditional inputs. Now coming to the last article of today's discussion, that is to compensate loss of green cover, BMC to acquire 15-acre plot in Borivali for creating mangrove nurseries. Now this particular article is important for us because it talks about mangroves. Mangroves is a very important topic for different exams. So what are mangroves? So mangroves are salt-tolerant intertidal forests that are found in tropical and subtropical coasts. They thrive in brackish water where rivers meet the sea. Especially they thrive in estuaries and deltas kind of a region. They're halophytic plants with stealth roots. They have pneumatophores, that is they have breathing roots for respiration. They have viviparous seeds, that is seeds that germinate on the tree itself. Mangroves are often described as ecological infrastructure for disaster risk reduction. They are looked upon as nature's seawalls, which are strong, silent and sustainable. What are the important mangrove species in India? We have Avinesia marina, which is the dominant species. We have Rhizophora species. We have Soneraceous species, and there are other species as well. Now let's talk about the ecological significance of mangroves. They are very important with respect to coastal protection. They act as natural buffers against tsunamis, cyclones, erosions. That is, they act as green belt for coastal resilience. They are biodiversity hotspots. They are known habitats for fish, crustaceans, migratory birds. They act as carbon sink. They sequester large amounts of carbon, and thus they are also described as blue carbon ecosystems. They have important role in nutrient cycling. They trap sediments. They filter pollutants. They support nutrient exchange, and they act as salinity buffer that maintain freshwater saline balance in estuaries. species. What are the common threats to mangroves? The common threats are coastal development, real estate encroachment, aquaculture, especially shrimp farming, pollution through industrial effluents and oil spills, climate change because of sea level rise and salinity variation, then illegal logging and tourism. Now, what are the major mangrove regions in India? We have Sundarbans in West Bengal, that is the largest mangrove in the world. It is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site and it is a famous habitat for the Bengal tiger. We have Mahanadi, Brahmani, Baitarani Delta, which is in Odisha, Vitarkanika, which is also known for its crocodile nesting site. We have Krishna Godavari Delta, which is in Andhra Pradesh. We have Kaveri Delta, which is in Tamil Nadu. In Tamil Nadu, we also have Pichavaram, which is the second largest mangrove forest in India. Then we have Gulf of Kutch and Gulf of Khambat in Gujarat and the Andaman Nicobar Islands, which have very dense mangrove diversity. Let's discuss the different government initiatives with respect to mangrove. We have Campa that focuses on afforestation, which also includes mangroves. We have National Mangrove Conservation Program. Since 1987, it is under Ministry of Environment. We have Integrated Coastal Zone Management, where mangrove protection, sustainable coastal development are focused upon. We have State Action Plans on Climate Change that include coastal ecosystem restoration. MISTI, which stands for Mangrove Initiative for Shoreline Habitats and Tangible Incomes, which focuses on plantation along coastline under Green India Mission. We have Blue Carbon Initiative that showcases India's potential global role in carbon credits through mangroves. Now, mangroves are also discussed in different international conventions, like there is Ramsar Convention, that is wetlands of international importance. There is Convention on Biological Diversity. Then there is UNFCCC, that is United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And the IPCC reports have highlighted mangroves' role in carbon sequestration. तो दोस्तों, आई होप आपको ये डिस्कशन अच्छा लगा होगा और आपकी एग्जाम प्रिपरेशन में ये हेल्पफुल रहा होगा. थैंक